Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. Fly me to the danger zone.
Shad.
Fly. It's such
That's not how the song
I was
goes.
not expecting that.
Okay, go. You do it.
Ride into the danger zone. Gonna take a ride into the danger zone.
Welcome back to The Watch. I'm not sure if you noticed through that energetic intro or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Wow! Top Gun Maverick. We bloody loved it. But before we dive into it, there is something I needs to be mentioned. Is if you guys are enjoying the content here on Night's Watch, your support would be greatly appreciated. We actually have a fairly large team producing all this content, and we're not profitable, okay? We're basically relying nearly solely on the revenue from Shadiversity, and if YouTube just decides to yeet monetization, which can happen scarily often, that would actually put us in a really difficult spot. I would love to be able to get us in a self-sustaining position where we're not so reliant on the indifference of YouTube, and to do that, we rely upon you. If you guys like the content, your support on Patreon or Subscribestar would be hugely appreciated. Just if every one of our active viewers just donated $1 a month, that would make us self-sustaining. That would be phenomenal.
Well, I'm slightly terrified now.
Why?
Because now I know that might happen. I'm thinking about it.
Well, on Night's Watch, we are pretty clear with our opinions. We will oppose bad media and stuff like that, and sometimes that puts the eye of Sauron or YouTube upon us and monetization. So anyway, your support would be greatly appreciated. Patreon or Subscribestar, and now we will get right into
The danger zone.
The danger zone. Top Gun Maverick. This is, I'm shocketh and in awe a bit.
Shocketh and in awe?
I'm shocketh. I did not expect I would love this movie so much.
Well, I mean, I didn't love it, right? I didn't think it was amazing. It was just very, very good.
Well,
very good.
I was expecting a very good movie, and that was not because of the track record. It was from the reviews of people that whose opinions I respect and think are well informed when it comes to media. And then I full on love this movie. I adore it. It is, I didn't love and adore the previous one. But there are things in this movie that truly make me love it. That it might be one of my all-time favorite now because of some of the things in it. But before we get on to the specifics, more general kind of observations about it, and it's that if you don't have the connection with some of the themes that I do and to make you love it, everything, this is just still a great film.
Yeah.
But before I go on my whole thing, actually, about giving my reasons, what were the reasons? What did you guys think and why?
Jet fights are cool.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is cool.
Yeah.
He runs at least twice in this movie, and I'm just waiting every moment. I'm just like...
He does do his Tom Cruise run.
Twice.
Only twice?
Once playing football.
And then in the forest?
Well, don't spoil it for you. It was just very good. It was very, very good.
Oh, they're in a forest!
The jet fight scenes were really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
Tell you what, though, the ending part where there's the big climax, and then it's like, I was expecting that whole thing to happen.
I did predict some of the large elements in it, and I was so happy that they happened. This is where doing the predictable, obvious thing where it's nothing, like it's not a big twist, it doesn't subvert expectations, is what the audience wants, and it satisfies your expectations. You don't want them always subverted, and it was so good. Like, even if it was predictable, it's just like, yes, that's what you want to happen.
Yeah, and it was just a feel-good movie with decent values and reconciliation and catharsis, and I love that in a movie, man. When relationships either between villains or two characters, like, mended.
Rocky in the beginning. And
Rocky, Karate Kid 2, which is an underrated movie, and Karate Kid 1. I love that sort of thing, man. I love it.
There are some just themes in this movie that and I want to talk about that, all right? But before, I want to mention the experience I had, right? Like, I went into this film feeling just the burden of life, stressed, worn out, and everything like that. And I left the film feeling better. I felt uplifted and like I just had a really good time.
Yeah.
And it just struck me that, oh my goodness, this is what entertainment is supposed to do.
Yeah.
Why?
Makes you feel good.
Makes you feel good.
Yeah.
I have not had that experience. I can't remember in how long. And it just makes me love the film, but it also ticks me off because it stands out as this stark contrast to the crap that exists in media today, where they want movies and everything to lecture you, to tell you you're a bad person, you need to improve this, this, and this, and this, and they will do it by either denigrating characters that you're supposed to identify with, so strong male leads, they will, make useless, that they're given up and they're hopeless or everything like that, and then they'll misrepresent other things, or teach you that you're bad because of immutable characteristics and things, and uplift other people for their immutable characteristics and not giving up. So that's what media is, right? It's like so much media is made to feel crap, make you feel crap, where this one is just there to make you feel great. And what annoys me is that this shouldn't be worthy of praise. This should be the standard that entertainment should reach and hit every time. But because modern media has been so crap, it's like water in a drought.
Well, even if you compare this to the less than recent movies, right? Movies of the past, it's actually an incredible movie.
I think it's better than the first one.
I haven't seen the first one.
I haven't seen the first one.
I would watch the first one. I know what happens in every plot point of the movie going along, but
well, it's weird. The first one, it was an enjoyable film. I had no connection with planes or anything like that, but good movie basically.
Yeah.
This one hits deeper themes that connected with me on an emotional level that just made me love it, because not only did it have those themes, it didn't just play lip service to them. It actually committed and fulfilled and followed through on those themes in a really satisfying way that's tied in with the story and comes through in the big payoffs in some triumphant ways, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
It's great.
And it didn't lay on, there was, I think, 1 or 2 scenes that did the whole member berries thing, but usually when it happens in these movies, it feels cheap. When they do a much later sequel and they give you a member berry moment where it's like, hey, this scene happened and this scene happened, it feels cheap. Like if you watch the most recent Matrix movie, they literally in universe play it on a theater. They play the first movie. It's anyway. So it.
Well, in Top Gun as well, it was all there for a reason. Like a lot of the conflict was also past conflict resurfacing, and some of the conflict with one of the characters was something that happened in his past that he was struggling with the whole time. So a lot of the member berries were played back for a purpose for the plot, not just to be, hey, remember this thing?
Yeah, but in a lot of other shows, especially say the recent Obi-Wan, not only do they do that, where they try and grab something for member berries to draw people in, but then once it gets people's attention, they actually disrespect the thing in front of them because it's not what they want. They have made Obi-Wan just a horrible coward who is weak and pathetic and has lost his training and everything like that. Look at that in contrast to Maverick in this film. This isn't a spoiler because it's established right at the beginning.
Yeah.
It introduces him. He is still at the top of his game. He is sharp. He's doing what he loves, and he is actually one of the best pilots in the world. And compare that, so much where we get these older characters, they're washed up and old and jaded and lost touch.
Even with what they did with one of the other characters, they brought him back and they did it
respectfully.
Really respectfully. Yep.
And honestly too, an honest thing as well.
Yeah.
So,
just compare that to what they did with Carrie-Anne Fisher in Star Wars. And the Governor Tarkin dude as well before that. It's just
yeah, and so they give respect to what went before, but they don't subvert what was established in the previous one where, Maverick was this ace pilot. Well, still an ace, is still the best. And he's here because he has something, and this is in the trailer, he's there to teach the new generation. But, oh man, something else was brilliant in that trope as well, which actually was kind of a subversion, but in a good way, about the old ace coming back to teach them how it's done. And so I guess we're getting into spoiler territory now. So for our general comments, I give this one unironically a 10 out of 10.
Same.
Well, I also say they had fun with it as well. well.
Yeah. Now, how do I gauge a 10 out of 10, right? Is it better than Lord of the Rings? So I'm actually looking at what this film is meant to be for itself. Like this achieves its purpose almost perfectly. I did not notice, I'm sure maybe if I watched really carefully I would see inconsistencies, but usually with something made this well, when I look even more carefully, I actually see better things in it. That was my experience with Arcane. And because I didn't see flaws in the characterization, the execution, and so much was done well. Like the airplane dogfighting, everything like that.
Were amazing.
It's like if I was analysing that as a sword fight, the moves that they do are logical. How he beats other, planes and everything, like makes sense, and it isn't just like pulling bullcrap out of their rear end. It's like everything is consistent with how my vague understanding of planes work.
There might be a little tiny bit of pulling bullcrap out, but that's like for the purpose. It's exciting.
I'll tell you what the one bullcrap thing was, which is why I'm going to take it down to a 9.8, is because when they said that Americans don't possess the technological edge in anything related to the military, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Look,
that is a slap in the face. So I've got to take it down.
For the context of the film, I think they can establish, because they don't even say who the bad guys are.
And they black out the helmets.
And it works so well.
I'm fine with that. They could have said it was Russia, China, paramilitary, whatever.
But the fact that they didn't, that gives them leeway to say, they have equal...
But that would take it away from the real world, and if it were, that would like make it a bloody... not Hydra, but like bloody... Who are the Python people in Cobra? Well, Cobra. It'd make it like Cobra, basically.
I'm actually not informed, but to be able to comment on that, and for me, even if it was correct, I don't think that would knock it down.
Do you know how much money they spend on their military?
I don't know, but
if you got a list, of every country, sure they're at number 1, but they spend more than every other country for the next 8 combined.
Well, aren't they the country that have the most, that occupy the most other countries?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, those other countries just built their borders around NATO bases. How dare they?
Yeah. Anyway.
Phenomenal film, okay? We're going to get into some specific spoilers and stuff now. Here's an interesting observation. It's kind of related to what we were just talking about, so that's why I'm going on to it. Is that the structure, if you look at the overall plot structure of this film, it's done very creatively, and it has one of the most effective and accurate uses of a proper MacGuffin that I've seen in a long time. Now, we've had conversations on this channel already about people misidentifying a MacGuffin as an object in the world that acts as a plot device like the One Ring, but the One Ring actually does things. It affects the plot actively by what it is actually doing, where in this film, the entire plot is revolving around something that has no direct action. It doesn't do anything in the plot. It's just there pushing the plot forward.
Literally just waiting to get blown up.
Get blown up. It's the uranium facility, underground enrichment facility, and it's amazing that the entire plot is revolving around this MacGuffin. Yet it actually does nothing in the story actively. Yeah. It's only there for the characters to act upon it.
Yeah.
And so that's the plot. It seems simple, yet the complexity of this plot is actually in the characterizations, the relationships, the difficulty in the mission, and the difficulties they actually run into and how they have to adapt during the mission to succeed in it, making it just a brilliantly, very clear and concise plot, not over convoluted or anything.
I'll be honest. I watched the movie late at night, so I fell asleep in the middle.
Heresy.
But even though I fell asleep in the middle and maybe got a little confused, I was able to pick back up on what was happening and follow it again. So it was a simple, straightforward plot that kept going and kept moving, and I was still able to enjoy it, even though I got a little confused in the middle.
But on the surface, I'd say it's simple, but deeper than that, it's actually quite complex and sophisticated. This film, unironically, is actually about masculinity, fatherhood, striving for excellence, heroism and sacrifice.
I think there's one big one you're missing that I only just picked up when we sat down to film.
What's that?
Teamwork.
Teamwork as well.
This movie, and so you know the old saying, you're only as strong as your team is only as strong as its weakest member. Who was the weakest member, do you reckon, at the beginning?
Maybe Rooster?
Rooster, right? Because he obviously he butted heads with Maverick.
He had a lot of things to overcome.
Yeah, and he butted heads with the best person on the team, Maverick.
No, I thought they actually established that he was one of the best, but not as good as Hangman, because of his hesitations.
That was why he was the weakest member, because...
And he butted heads with the strongest member, the leader.
And because he kept getting shot down.
Yep. And so once, because he got shot down twice, didn't he? Once at the beginning, and then at the very end.
I think in the beginning he kept getting beat and was pulling everyone down because he had issues with...
Yeah, he had hung up, so of course, stronger as the weakest member.
Yeah. Which isn't bad, it's just something he had to overcome.
Well, it affected the team, and they had to overcome it.
Overcome.
But then at the end, they work it out because they're both willing to sacrifice themselves for the other. And, that's a team.
Yeah. Now, I want people to kind of pay attention to the themes that I just pointed out here. These are all uplifting themes that if you try and, let it affect you, imprint on you, the net result is for you striving to be better. In any one of those themes that we talked about,
it inspires
you try and emulate, you will be a better person from. This is where, legitimately, cinema becomes an uplifting, positive thing, where it encourages people to be better. This is why heroism and self-sacrifice have been great pillars of cinema and story for ages. You go back as far as you go, you'll find heroism at the core of so many stories because it encourages you to be better. And we look up to these things and we want our heroes like that. Where in modern media, it's all so jaded, where they want their heroes to be flawed jerks, where they're
almost
imperfect.
Bordering evil.
Look at Captain Marvel, right? She is an awful person, yet they uplift her as this icon they want people to act like this horrible person, destroying property, physically assaulting people,
Joker.
Stealing,
Joker murders several people and he loves it.
Well, interesting thing about
the vigilantes.
Just on Joker. Joker is a really well-made film.
Yeah.
I didn't like it because went out, and I even said this on EFAP when I was talking with them. It made me feel ugh. It didn't make me feel good in a film. But it's just great film. And I think there's a place for darker, films. Don't get me wrong. But I feel for cinema, and also, by the way, there is positives in Joker with its commentary on mental illness and how we treat the least among us and stuff. So there actually is positives in Joker. Still doesn't make you feel good. But
it's kind of the inverse in reality now, though. You tell me that 20 years ago or 10 years ago, sure, but now it's the exact opposite. We demonize the people who are best at what they do.
But this film actually celebrates excellence, which is just, it's wonderful. And I can't stand the celebrity mentality, and it's great that they're being exposed for the jerks that they are, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, for just... These are not often good people, and then when they go to their award celebrations, they're sniffing their own farts. It's this whole big, thing where they're just praising each other for stolen glory or perception or everything. But what's interesting to me, this is the type of film that actually, I don't like Tom Cruise. I think he's a great actor. He's a great actor. I don't know enough of him personally or anything like that. He's got an interesting...
He's not just a great actor, he's a great filmmaker.
I've liked all of the movies I've seen of him so far.
This film is the type of film that, regardless of the people involved and everything, actually, the people involved deserve praise for making something that is uplifting, ennobling, it makes people want to be better. And this is when cinema has a noble component, where there might be some due, well-deserved praise to the people involved, but the fact that they usually give it to themselves and then do it for, things that aren't earned in their big award celebrations.
But Tom Cruise had a lot of involvement in the production.
And so I think a lot of the credit for the excellence of this film should go to him.
He said, I will only be involved in this movie if we use as little special effects as possible.
And it was brilliant.
Yep. All of the all the actors who were in the cockpit.
That's like...
Yeah, they had to do their own lighting, they had to film themselves and do their own makeup too.
When he gets in the plane to show them that he can do the run in the time frame allotted, you see here, when it turns, his jerked and his, he is struggling against the G-force and everything, you feel it. And it puts you on the edge of your seat. And if you would ask me, is he going to succeed or not? I was like, of course he's going to succeed.
Yeah.
Didn't change a difference that I was just watching, because they make it intense and you feel the struggle in it. And then when he succeeds, it's uplifting. It's just like I was watching it with my brothers, and my brother couldn't even stop himself just going yeah, like because when a movie can draw out actual like expression from you, it's a good film.
But yeah, like it's incredible the pilotry, right? And by the way, Miles Teller said that at least half the actors threw up once every day, and they all had to get G-force training. It was just nuts, right? But when they're doing the turns in the canyons, right? And that's a real pilot taking those turns, not at the end one, but in the first one when they're testing. Like, these people are flying planes that go hundreds of meters a second, and they are within 100 feet of hitting the ground. So that's as dangerous. And if you crash, it's certain death. It's certain, because you'll crumple and fire. It's just incrediedible.
Yeah. So massive praise to the cinematography, the effort that they put in, the practical effects. It was incredible. Like, it's like they don't make films like this anymore. This is showing Hollywood, this is how it's done.
It's Tom Cruise, man. It's Tom Cruise. You ever watch any of his Mission Impossible things? Or any... He's always doing stunts. He's always like, yeah, put me on the side of a plane. Yeah, I'll make this jump. Oops, broke my leg. Better walk it off.
But
he's nuts.
Also, I think a lot of the reason why the respect they gave to Maverick and why Maverick is still the top of his game, I half suspect, this is speculation, of course, that it's due to Tom Cruise. He's like, I'm not going to go into a film where you're going to make me a washed-up loser.
No doubt. He has a lot of, involvement.
Why would he be a lost
good on you for having that, like, to me that's not arrogance, that's self-respect, and respecting the source material and characters, and that's what is needed.
And what they did, is it Iceberg? Ice Val Kilmer?
Oh,
Iceman,
yeah.
Like, even what they did with him, he was a respectable member, and
even though he couldn't
talk, they played it respectfully, and they were...
I mean, could you imagine... I get the feeling that Mark Hamill and Ewan McGregor signed the contract before they saw the scripts and stuff, but could you imagine if they just said, I will not be part of this if you disrespect my character to this level?
They would have changed the script and made something different.
Or they would have promised and then changed it after the fact, after they signed the contract.
Or they saw how much they're going to get paid. It's a Disney movie. It's a multi-$100 million... It's a billion-dollar franchise.
Yeah, but I'm so glad that they respected this character. And so going into the actual... There was a subversion here, because there's a trope of getting the old ace back to teach the new generation, and the new generation is there to take their place. Like, not... Kind of spoilers for Disney Pixar Cars. But look, I think you'll be okay with it. But they do it in Cars, where... someone trying to help the old ace get back on his game ends up becoming the new one.
Right.
And that's generally the trope. What I loved about this is that there is a bit of a plot hole in this trope, and it's common enough that, it becomes a trope, is that if the old ace is so good and better than the people he's trying to train, why doesn't he just do the job himself? It goes into, like, you have the mentor in fantasy teaching the young person how to use magic and everything like that. If they're so tough and powerful, why don't they just do it themselves? In this film... Maverick is so good that the leader's like, we need you to do the mission. You're mission leader.
He was the mission leader. That's like...
I thought it was because also he's hard to control.
No. So from the beginning of the film, it was established that Maverick was going to pick the team leader from the group, and he walked in. He's showing the mission, and he thinks they're asking him to do the mission. He's like, I think I can do it. It's going to be hard. This is the type of mission that you might not come back from. It's like, no, you misunderstand. You're not doing it. You're going to teach the people how to do it, right?
And then he went off on his own and showed that he could do it.
Yeah. And he was so good that the guy was just like...
I'm forced to... Well, he said, I can either send them out and it could fail and a lot of them won't come home, or I could send you and risk my career. And the guy's like, Tom Cruise tries to be like, you should send me. And then the dude's like, his mate's like, no, he's already made up his mind. Of course he's going to send you.
Yeah. And so he becomes the leader. It's so satisfying because, of course, that's if you were approaching this logically, you want the best person in the job. And it was so satisfying because then not only was he able to do it in the mission, he was so damn good, he was able to protect his students. He looked upon them as his children. This is where the fatherhood comes in. This is where this film goes to 11 for me, and I love it. The themes of masculinity, fatherhood, protection, it was just all there, and it was paid off with such power. It was set up so strong from the very beginning when the Admiral guy's like, our objective is to get there and defeat destroy the thing, and Maverick's like, and to come home safely. Yeah. And I was like, already this is the setup that he is protective of these young people. He is their mentor, their father figure. One quite almost literally his father
Especially
figure.
with Rooster,
Exactly, Rooster in particular.
He didn't see them as disposable.
He didn't see them as disposable. And then when he was essentially halfway through the film, he's fired. And he's talking with the lady that is rebuilding the relationship with. I can't remember the line exactly, but the remorse he had was that they might die, and that
he should only resent one parent.
Well, there's that, but I'm actually looking at a different part. Is that this is when he was fired, and he was taken off the job, and he was talking with her, and she was like, "What are you going to do about it?" And he was genuinely worried for their safety from this true protective instinct that he had, and these are incredible themes, and then it's paid off because he basically risks going to jail, being court-martialed, to show that not only can this mission be done this way, it needs to be done this way if they're going to survive. Don't just send them to their deaths. And so he risks that. He's so good, he gets put in charge of leadership, and then when he's leading it, he actively is there to protect them, and he goes to sacrifice his life to save Rooster. Yeah. This is powerful stuff. It's making me emotional, and when he was put in charge of the leader to lead the mission, I actually was thinking, I thought this before it even happened. Oh wow, he's gonna sacrifice himself. He's gonna die on this mission to save someone else, which actually is set up to happen. But the movie is so good. He didn't die. He was about to, and then Rooster comes and saves him. Yeah. It's just like so good.
I was for a minute there because after he gets shot down, they don't show him, and you see them flying away. I was honestly expecting for a second, did they actually kill him? And if they did that, I would have actually been okay. I
would have been okay with it too.
I would have
noble hero's sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yet this is when the bait and switch where you think is dead is done so well and effectively, because it wasn't a Deus Ex Machina moment, because it makes sense for Rooster to do that, to break and because they ask him, he says, shouldn't we go back and help him? Setting up that it was possible, but then is ordered not to, and then he does the Maverick thing, breaks the thing.
And then they do it again with a third guy.
And that one was the more obvious one.
Rooster and Maverick are like, oh no!
That one was the vastly more obvious one, but they did set it up because he's waiting in there ready to try and go and protect him. But it was still satisfying, even though it was the most obvious save.
This is the kind of movie where I'd change the channel and it'd be on halfway or even at the end, and I'd have to keep watching it anyway, even though I haven't seen the beginning.
But a little thematic thing that I really liked. You know how when they do their first training run for who gets shot down, he flies above Rooster, and that's they get into literally a
spin where they
over that, and then at the end, the last time he flies above Rooster is to deploy the flares and protect him and get shot down. I just love those thematic, symmetry moments. I love it.
It's truly a phenomenal film.
Foreshadowing.
And so themes of paternal, instinct, fatherhood, masculinity, protection, everything like that.
Teamwork, and everything.
But one of the big moments for me where this film started to earn my love was it showed a masculine sacrifice. What do I mean by that, okay? To me, the core of what masculinity is self-sacrifice and doing the more difficult thing, taking the greater burden, because in many instances, you're the one who can bear it.
Well, that's
it might not be fair.
Bad side, just like femininity.
Yeah, but the best side. It might not be fair that you take this burden, but you choose to do it because of your capacity to do so. That, to me, that is the root core of true virtuous masculinity.
I think that's the root core of literally the foundation of heroism. Femininity does have sacrifice too. They basically sacrifice their bodies.
Femininity is about creating life, not just in childbirth, but creating environments in which life can flourish. And men are about protecting that life. Women are about creating, men are about protecting. Okay? Yeah. These are the cores, virtues, and the core of masculinity and femininity, right? These are really important. And I think both can enjoy. I enjoy any film that celebrates these truths regardless. This film, because it's got a male lead, all right, it's exploring where his heroism comes from. And it comes from in protecting and sacrificing. And this film has such a powerful moment for me in this. And it's when you find out there's this conflict between him and Rooster, and you find out that he washed Rooster out of this assessment course that set him back 4 years in his preparation and training. And Rooster hates him for this.
Yep.
And there's a question as to why this happened. And there's a moment where I think this is set up and appropriate where Maverick's, like, his barriers and defensiveness is softened enough through the relationship he has with this woman, where she can get in and ask him why, and he reveals it to her, which I think fits really well. And you find out that it was for two reasons. One, because Rooster's mother didn't want him to fly, and she was afraid for his safety. And two, Rooster wasn't ready. Maverick actually honestly felt he wasn't ready for it. And we see it in this film that Rooster is hesitating, is not pushing himself to the level that he can achieve. Again, this is a separate theme about striving for excellence, where it's subverted in the modern day, where everyone gets a participation award. And
I think it was fear that was keeping him back.
Lots of things, but I love that this film had just the no excuse. You have to achieve excellence, otherwise you're dead. But in achieving excellence, that should be the goal. Excellence. Don't settle for mediocrity. And the structure of this film didn't give anyone an excuse for anything less. And it's uplifting when you see someone striving for excellence and achieve it. And even if they fail, which they do sometimes in this film, the fact that they were striving for it in the process is also uplifting, and not giving themselves excuses.
And the failures are learning experiences.
Yeah. These are all really uplifting things. And so, because of that, that's all set up. We can see that Rooster wasn't ready, and so Maverick washed him out. Yep. And then his girlfriend, she says, well, why don't you tell him that it's actually partially because of the mother's request? And Maverick says, I'd rather him resent me than his mother.
He said one parent.
Yeah. And that is noble, powerful, and that is, to me, reflects one of the cores of masculinity, where he will take on the burden. It wasn't fair that he took it on, but he'll do it because it's the better and more noble thing, and he can bear it. It was to protect the love that this person had for his mother. And what an amazing, wonderful thing.
And that's what honor actually is. There's a vain type of honor where you want everyone to see you as honorable, and so you only act that way so they see you as honorable. But the truth of honor is that you don't keep it for anyone else. You keep it for yourself.
He was willing to be hated and despised by people, even someone that he really cared for, and the fact that he knew he did the right thing was enough. It wasn't to be praised. Look at how noble these themes are in this film. This is why this film is elevated above just mere entertainment for me. This is a type of film that I'm going to watch with my children, and I hope that the themes, what happens, will inspire and uplift them. This is as I was saying, where cinema actually can become a truly noble and virtuous thing, and this is when it deserves to be elevated and praised, probably even more than, I don't know. I'm not sure if people went into this film saying, I want these themes, and they did it instinctually because, hey, this would be cool. It's a powerful hero moment.
I was just expecting cool dog scene fights, dog fights.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that they'll have all these noble, heroic attributes, because if you're going to be the deadliest, fastest thing, not just in the sky, but basically on Earth, you're going to have to be the best, like the highest, deadliest predator. You've got to be the peak of what a person can be. So,
but also, you want these kind of people flying these planes in real life. These are the kind of people you want protecting your country.
Well, there was an interesting... I'm not sure if this was their intention, but there was a commentary at the beginning that drone, pilots were going to take over everything. And this film actually... I'm not sure if it's purpose, but it's showing that having the person in the cockpit making the choices in the moment is... the better, the thing that has saved people's lives in these films, because if the drone will always follow orders, Maverick would have died, and he probably, so many things would have played out.
Yeah.
That, but people making choices in the moment, and sometimes good moral choices.
Also intuition, a pilot's intuition.
And look, I know that this is perhaps a skewed depiction of reality, because sometimes there's human error in the real world that, automatic drone pilot things wouldn't do.
Sure. Dude, like you compare combat, history for pilots, there's a long documented history of stories of honor, even amongst their enemies.
I can think of several in World War II, yeah.
But for drones, it's literally, hey, let's go destroy a wedding in Syria, So no, drones, keep robots out of combat. Not just for our enemies or innocents.
I do admit, giving guns to robots, like sci-fi should have warned us that's a bad idea.
Yeah. Keep. It's like what's his name said. Aomir. War is the province of men and some women, but mostly 99.5 95% of the time, men. Because we kill stuff good.
Well, I mean, it's part of the process of growing up for young men and boys to actually... it's funny, we were talking with Claudia just in another video about the fact that there is this natural violent conflict component to young men and boys, which is actually essential. And no, this is really important, but because the way that men learn how to resolve conflict, even in violence, when they're growing up, dealing with bullies and other things like that, helps guide and inform them how to resolve conflict when violence arrives in the most appropriate and noble way possible. And it's important that they're taught these things, because if they're not, big mistakes can happen.
Well, that's why men invented respect, so we don't have to resort to violence.
Well, that's the other thing, because when you learn this properly, right, young boys learning how to deal with violence and conflict and their aggression appropriately often leads to far less violence in the future, because they learn that they don't need to prove themselves, they don't need to get in a fight and everything, they can walk away as long as they know in themselves that they're brave, they don't need to prove it. Then conflict, this is why it's so good for young boys to learn martial arts and everything, to get the confidence and get restraint and everything.
And that goes back to honor.
But what's interesting,
not being vain.
Martial arts literally is the act of learning how to be violent, yet the purpose of it is to then teach you how to restrain it and use it appropriately. It's really important stuff.
And in Top Gun, we don't feel like they're all proving themselves. We feel like they're there for a purpose, to serve and protect.
And they keep that in mind the whole movie.
Well, Maverick has that. I think some of the young guys probably do have
Hangman.
Hangman. They're wanting to be the best.
That's a bit of fun.
But Maverick is showing them through his example about, how...
being the best you can be.
Mm-hmm. And they show us, like, I love those scenes when, the very first day, basically, he sends him into the air and he wipes them all out.
Big scene.
And to show that they think they're the best, but they have a long way to go yet. And it wasn't to show off. He was actually doing it, the purpose was to get them to reach their best as well. So, this film is great on so many levels. All right, so one of the things that I really loved was him getting in the older jet that he
F-14.
used in the first one.
Yeah, the conveniently placed older jet.
Look,
but it was still
they set it up. They said that with their satellite, this is where proper setup. I'm fine with it. In the beginning of the film, they have satellite shots. They got this, and look, they even have some old F-14s there.
Yeah, okay, I'll give it a free pass.
They set it up. It wasn't just like a thing. But I loved it when he got in there. Because you have... look, is it nostalgia? One, I just love how that jet looks, okay? It is one of the most wicked-looking jets.
Wings,
it's just so cool.
Oh, yeah.
And then the fact that the advanced jet comes in and the two come in. This is probably my favourite part in the film, right? Because the best dogfight and everything, where the only way to beat these advanced jets is just pure talent.
Yep.
And this wasn't just... unsatisfying, he suddenly can turn faster than the other jet and beat them, and then they try and excuse it that it was actually his talent, when they actually, the dogfight, the tactics used was it felt logical, consistent, that he just had to work with the limitations he had. And so the very beginning of that fight was brilliant, where you have the one that drops behind them, gets the guns ready, and they're about to be fired upon, and so he knows when he breaks formation, they're going to fire on him instantly, and so he breaks directly in the direct line of the other bad jet in front of him. Yep. He dodges it, and then they shoot down one of their own.
He shot.
No, it was the jet behind them.
I'm pretty sure he shot.
No, I'm pretty sure that was the one behind him.
Comments down below. Did he shoot the jet that he flew? I thought he was just banging.
No. He got the one behind it to shoot at them, but he dodged, and then the other jet was right there, and they shot it down and took it out.
That part annoys me, because you'll always be aware of your partner when you're shooting.
You should.
No, in the military, you always will be.
I found it very satisfying. I thought, hey, that works. Yeah. I accept that tactic.
I don't... look, okay, that's one sin for me, because someone, especially flying in the sky, these guys are the sharpest possible minds you could imagine.
Well, in the US team, we don't, but we don't know how talented
to fly these things. Just to fly these things. Dude, these are the fastest things on Earth. The amount of training you go through, the amount of mathematics you have to use just to navigate.
Look, this is where I guess perhaps my own ignorance saves me from the criticism, because I felt it worked enough. I liked the tactic, and then the fact that
it does highlight the teamwork of Maverick's team, though.
Mm-hmm.
But you never have a friendly soldier in the crossfire unless it's Pat Tillman.
The first jet thought that when he first fired, it was not in the crossfire, but Maverick flew to guide the guy trying to shoot at him to get him to hit his friend.
Again,
and so to me it was
would not.
Well, to me it was a choice that Maverick made to lure the guy to accidentally fire on his wingman.
This is rookie. That's a rookie mistake.
Well, I mean, they established some of the best in this film were still making rookie mistakes, and Maverick was showing them that if you're not aware...
I mean, you never know.
And it's constantly telling him, you have to be aware of your, like, where the position of your wingman is, because at one point, Hangman loses, he ignores his wingman, Maverick gets to shoot him down, and then... And so, to me, that was actually, at least it was consistent in the film. They established that even the best can make rookie mistakes like this, and it worked well. And then, like, he can't outrun him, and so he goes down low into some really difficult terrain, and he outflies him. But I love that they show that the advanced, jets are actually more advanced and does this weird, wicked kind of slow down thing. And Rooster was just like, "What the?" And it looked so cool.
I think it was because the frames aren't meant to be that strong, but an air brake like that was awesome.
It looked wicked.
Awesome.
And then the cinematography of that dogfight when they go down low, I was just all on board. I was like, yeah!
And I liked as well that it wasn't just the other team were completely incompetent. It was both, it was just great.
Exactly. And it was just like, again, it was like a celebration of excellence, because it's established Maverick is this good, and then he takes on, like they call it a 5th generation fighter plane. I don't know what that means, but it's more advanced.
The Americans have them. To say they don't just...
Yeah, but he wasn't in it, though. No, they said they had them. They said they had the 5th generation.
Why weren't they using... No, the Americans should have them.
Because he ended up in the old plane.
Yeah, no. My point is...
My assumption was that they were in 5th generation ones on the main run, because he said we don't have the technological edge, meaning that they're on the same level.
America has always and probably always will have the technological edge until the country itself is completely different to how it is now.
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know.
Japan and Germany have had...
No, you don't understand. They spend more than the next 8 countries on the list. That includes China, Japan, Germany, every other country.
Anyway.
I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Right? No, seriously.
I just said I don't know anything.
I can't stress enough how good the American military, especially their tanks and jets.
In terms of I don't know. I know they've been cutting.
Regardless, good movie.
It was great. I guess that last dog scene. The dogfight was just great. It was absolutely phenomenal. And even though, then they beat that one, they're trying to fly away, and another one comes and is on their tail, and then they're saved. It was predictable, but it was satisfying. That's what you wanted it to end like that.
Yeah.
Wow, this film is just, like I said, 10 out of 10. I genuinely adore it.
9.8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Claudia?
7.9?
7.9. What?
Maybe 8.
What? Such a crank.
8.
Claudia.
It's not a movie I would usually watch.
I get
Claudia.
And I found the middle a little boring, but it was still awesome.
Claudia.
I don't know. You fell asleep, so therefore you weren't awake to pay attention, and
I fell asleep through the relationship stuff.
But see, the relationship, to me, that frames so much.
I like the Maverick and Rooster relationship stuff. But it's still a good movie. I still gave it a high number.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Above average.
Those are really the old things that I can remember to think and what I say on it. There might have been other things, but go watch this film if you haven't seen it already. Huge recommendation.
Yep.
And if only more films.
It's just a great experience.
Yeah. Why can't more films be made? We know why a lot of films can't be made this way. People would genuinely look at this film and say, "Look at the toxic masculinity." When it has some of the most virtuous masculinity.
Yeah, the journos lost their minds.
You would bloody hope and wish that many of society would be as noble, self-sacrificing, talented as Maverick is. But again, they'll think, look how toxic he is, always trying to prove himself the best.
Well, there was a lady in there as well, and she wasn't like...
Yeah.
And again...
They never degraded her, and
they didn't degrade her.
Had to prove herself against them.
And she was one of the best.
Yep.
But also, if this was made by Disney or something like that, she would have been the best, and she would have not only shown her better than Maverick, she would have taught him an important lesson about himself and all these things.
They would have gender changed Goose's son.
Probably.
To a daughter.
And
she would have failed upwards, and Maverick would have had to learn lessons from her and stuff like that. All the usual.
This movie is Top Gun Maverick, completely uninterested.
From Rooster.
Did he?
honesty and like vulnerability and all that.
Honesty and vulnerability. Of course, the girl says that.
But he did. He
was always.
He learned to be, honest about how he was feeling with Rooster and admitting that he was still hung up on what happened to his dad and admitting that there's still some trauma there.
I don't know.
I remember back before they did either their final training run or when they're getting ready to go out. I think it was their final training run.
And he had to learn to trust Rooster and get past that how
Okay.
how
So
protective
when he picks Rooster as being one of the main people on that's kind of before he was worried that Rooster wasn't ready. And Rooster hadn't really shown signs that he was ready, but he was taking it on faith, I guess, a bit, that he believed in him. Okay,
I think he did it because if Thingo was going to get shot down, it wouldn't be like he'd be there to stop it, or at least to try and stop it. That's why I think he did it.
So as I was mentioning before, this film is completely uninterested in woke agenda, politics, or anything like that. Just to me, I don't know if they wanted to do these uplifting themes. Even if they just approach this, we just want to make the best film we possibly can, and accidentally stumbled into these really uplifting themes, it still deserves credit for it, in my opinion, because they're great. And even if not, isn't it just refreshing that here's a film that they just wanted to make a great film, entertaining,
for the purpose of a film.
Didn't care about politics, not trying to have an extra grind about gender roles or anything like that. It's just great film, great characters, and yes, there's a bit of a masculine theme to it because the other film it's got a mainly... So they lean into it, embrace it, and it's brilliant.
But so little was there, need to engage in politics. They literally didn't tell us who the bad guys were. Yeah. Any other movie, it would have been Russia, North Korea, China... probably not China, but Russia or North Korea, or a private thing.
The countries people think it's okay to vilify.
Yeah.
But the actual thing, who the bad guys were, was mostly relevant to the plot. It could be insert any country that could be opposing. It's unneeded for the plot to move forward. And so I kind of like that they did that. It worked really... We don't even see the face of one of the bad guys to know their ethnicity or culture. They're always got their helmets on.
Yep.
And... this is an appropriate time when, it's not needed. I think it might be disingenuous to some other films where it would be help contextualize who the bad guys are. But the fact that their whole story is revolving around a true MacGuffin we don't need to know much about it, doesn't need to have any... It's about the characters, the mission, the difficulty in achieving it. Brilliant. And just while one of the scenes I loved was when after Maverick is running, he does the Tom Cruise run. It was great to see.
Took his top off a few times.
Yeah, and you think they're gonna hug and embrace, and he runs up and just pushes him. What are you thinking? It's like, you told me not to think.
Just do.
It was a good moment. There was actually some chuckles in it.
And that is a good thing too, is to not get into your head so much and just let your body
instincts
do what it has to do.
But here's a masterclass in appropriate humour. This isn't like, Marvel humour where their life is on the line and then someone sees something and does a stupid quip where...
Thanks, Joss Whedon.
The serious tone is never subverted because these are people risking their lives. Is really tough and that builds a suspense. But then there is an appropriate humorous moment of misunderstanding, miscommunication, and it was in line for the characters to respond that way, and it was a genuinely humorous moment in a serious film.
We get it. It was funny, Shad.
No, but it's done so rarely in film these days that I'm really trying to highlight how excellently it's done, because that is just masterful writing, and we rarely see these days.
Unless, again, it's for Avengers, it's Joss Whedon. He's like, make a scene dark. This is a quote from him. Do you know the quote? Where he's like, make it dark, make it gritty, make it unhappy, but for the love of, make a joke. Like, no, don't...
Not
idiots.
always.
Not always.
Sometimes it can, in a purposely humorous film, but sometimes you don't want to subvert that, tense seriousness.
Like the Batman. They didn't need jokes every 5 seconds.
They didn't. No, but look at... anyway, Lord of the Rings is a good example.
It can be a dark movie.
There's no happiness until he...
that is a good one. Yeah, that's a good example.
Alrighty. That's our review of Top Gun Maverick.
Yep.
And there we go. Do we hate on everything? No. If it's genuinely good, we are. Not only do we praise it, but I'm grateful for it.
I'm kind of scared to attack Tom Cruise, actually.
Hollywood, take note. They won't, but I wish Hollywood would take note. It's like, this is calling back to the classic cinema, good filmmaking.
Will Tom Cruise just make all the movies?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I'd be happy with that.
He could do it too. He has the energy.
If he made Willow...
he is, unironically, so fit for his age. It's
and he's short enough.
unbelievable.
He's short enough. He can actually play Willow. That's why the short men, little man syndrome is real, and they're powerful, and don't mess with them.
But he always makes fun, exciting movies, and you always get the sense that he's enjoying making it as well.
He is like a genuine
He's making it for
filmmaker.
for the love of making films.
It
not
seems
for-
like that. But also for the audience. Like we didn't have this message in Australia, but in other countries, there was a message from Tom Cruise thanking them. I don't care if it was scripted. The fact that he agreed or wanted, pushed, I don't know whose choice it was, to have that in there really shows that he was making this for not just fans, but for people. This is the escapism that people need in the drudgery of life to just make them, put them in a better mood. You know?
Some of the greatest films, books, shows, the best ones are made by people who care about what they're making and putting
And care about the
love
audience.
and passion into it.
Where
We're
Disney...
feeling what they're making.
Disney, you actually get the sense that they they despise the audience. They think the audience, like, they actively think most of the Star Wars audience are sexist and stuff. And
racist.
Like, they hate their audience.
Yep.
You can feel it. And Disney scum.
And all their movies feel fake. They don't feel real because they're using bridge. But, with the whole, because he does all of his stunts and he's one of the best filmmakers ever, I think death is literally afraid of him. and he knows it. That's why he's willing to do it.
Maybe they're buddies. Maybe they're best friends.
Maybe.
They're
He's a Scientologist.
Like, Tom Cruise is maybe not the hero we wanted, but is the hero we needed.
Yeah.
In terms of filmmaking.
In reality, he's short and nuts.
In terms of just filmmaking.
He's not the best.
I wonder if
We
that's
don't know him
misrepresentation
personally.
of media. I don't think
don't
he's
know him
as nuts as
personally.
people make him out to be, honestly.
There's some things that
I
he's
know.
said.
Okay, we'll work into it. Leave it on a
won't
good
judge
note.
him.
Thank
Great at
you
filmmaking.
for making the film, Tom. We appreciate it. Great film. And there we go. So, as you know, until next time, as always, stay on watch.